welcome. It's Steph here from Yogi Tides, and we're going to run through a little yin class here, something lovely that you could do maybe before bedtime, something to relax the body. So let's get started. Bring your knees to the outside edges of your mat, coming into child's pose, big toes touch at the back, and then crawl your arms forward and down as you relax the head down on the mat and melt the heart down. Start breathing in and out. If it feels difficult to get the head on the mat, place a block underneath your forehead for support. And just allow yourself to be right here. Stretching out those sit bones at the back, so sending them to the back of the space. Arms forward and surrender here into the pose. As you find your breath here, that deep connection, that inhale and that exhale. And typically in yin, we hold the poses between 3 to 5 minutes, allowing the body to settle in, relax. And that gives the body a chance to let go. As we come down into the parasympathetic nervous system, as we come out fight flight, into rest and digest, so we just hold these poses still. Breathing in and out. And sometimes when we come to holding positions for a longer period of time, our mind does tend to wander. It tends to wander off onto your to-do list or that email that you haven't quite sent yet. Bring it back to the breath every time. And that's where the work is done, when we just come back to the breath and remembering all of us have the same thing. We all let our mind wander now and again. But just gently bring it back without judgment and just stay here. And we just breathe. Notice how it feels in the body. Notice how that stretch feels and that breath feels and that connection to the earth, the felt sense of the body. Just focus inward. And here we'll take about maybe 6 or 7 more breaths here in child's pose. And then on your next inhale, slowly start coming out of the pose by rising up. Coming all the way up into tabletop position. So bring those knees in so that they're underneath the hips, hip width apart. Move the block away from you if you've used one. Coming into a flat back. Make sure that the shoulders are over those wrists. Spread those fingers wide. And we'll just do a few rounds of cat-cows here. On an inhale, drop that belly, lift the heart. And exhale, round through, push the earth away. Tailbone down, chin tucks in and under. Inhale, belly drops, heart lifts, cow pose. And exhale, round through cat pose. And you can close the eyes here, just really feel how it feels, that felt sense of the body. Inhale, dropping the belly, lifting the heart. Exhale, rounding through, last one there, cat pose. And then find that neutral tabletop position. We're going to come into thread the needle with the arms here. On an inhale, lift that right arm all the way up to the side. And then on your exhale, thread it underneath that left arm, placing that right shoulder down onto the mat. And then keeping the hips high as you stay here. Left hand can stay exactly where it is, or the option to take it forward, or you can take it behind your back to get that extra stretch through that left shoulder. Find your medicine here. Just find the place that feels good in the body as we really give a little bit of love to that right shoulder, and then close the eyes down again as we just stay here. And it's always about that relaxation within the yin pose, and the stretch is always only about 40%. We never really push too far, because if we push too far, we try to jar and push our body into poses that it doesn't want to be in that at that length, that stretch, then the body starts tensing up, and then there's no stretch coming. So this is the 40% stretch is where we really notice the change within the body. It allows the body to feel safe and relaxed. Keep breathing in and out. Steady breath. Easy breath in. Easy breath out. Well done. If that arm is behind in a bind, untuck it, and then place it down on the mat. Push the earth away on that inhale, lifting that right arm all the way back up to the sky, and then exhale, place it all the way back down onto the mat. Taking all that to the other side now, left arm lifts up, inhale. And then exhale, thread through, dropping that left shoulder down and finding that place for you, whether your right hand stays next to your head, where you place it forward, or you place it behind your back in a wrap. And again, we just hold here, just relax. Close the eyes again, go inward. These poses are so good for our shoulders, especially if we've been sat at a desk all day. Is that counter pose, that opening up of the shoulders as they've been rounded forward in front of your computer or driving your car. Maybe about 5 more breaths here. If that arm is a bind, that right arm, bring it all the way around, place it down onto the mat, and then lift the arm, left arm all the way up to the sky, lift up. Exhale, hands come down, back down to tabletop position. We're going to come into puppy pose here. This is another stretch for the shoulders that really helps that counter pose, especially if you've been working at that desk all day. So from here, take the arms forward. Keep the hips high as you drop the head down. Maybe you place a block underneath the forehead and we just stay here. Coming into puppy pose. And again, just surrender to the pose, sink in. And allow the body to soften. Make sure there's no tension being held anywhere. Traditionally in yin yoga, that 90 seconds is where the phase change happens in the body, where the body acknowledges the stress on the stretch. So it's a gentle stretch. that stress, and it goes down, checks out what's going on, and starts rebuilding the collagen, elastin, hyaluronic acid in that area, that connective tissue. And it's so important that we have a practice like this, especially if you're doing yoga, your typical traditional yoga, that hatha yoga, that's power yoga. It's always good to have some downtime to balance out your body, to balance out the yin and the yang. So the yang is the climbing the mountain, that strength, stretch. And the yin is like climbing into the caves of the mountain. We explore those caves. And they need each other, so the yin feeds the yang and the yang feeds the yin. It's so important to have a balance of both. Take a couple more breaths here. And then slowly from here, start rising all the way up, coming all the way back to tabletop position. And then come seated onto your mat. Bring the soles of the feet towards each other, coming into butterfly. And then from here, let those knees flare open. Take the hands onto either your ankles or your toes. And then from here, take a deep breath and then exhale, round down. So in yin, we can round a bit more. In traditional, we have a straighter back. But because we're keeping it soft and gentle, you can round down and bow down into this pose. And then again, just breathe as we hold this pose, getting deep into the inner thighs and the groin area. And our lives are so busy, bombarded by all this stimulation, distractions throughout the day. Our phones are always screaming for our attention. So by doing these slower classes, by slowing down, you give that body that chance to catch up on itself, to come into the parasympathetic and to rest and digest, coming away from that yang energy and that constant stimulation that's in our lives right now, the modern life. So as we come into these poses, we allow the body to soften and relax and heal from within. Again, if the mind's wandering, it may just wander off to that to-do list, bring it back. Gently back to the breath. And just be. Nowhere to get to, nowhere to go. Just staying right here. Take about 2 or 3 more breaths here. And then slowly start coming all the way back up. Let those feet come out, knees up, soles of the feet to the ground, place the hands behind you, and then just do some windshield wipers for those hips, just releasing any tension here. And then we're just going to come into sleeping swan, which in hatha yoga is known as pigeon pose, humble pigeon. Coming into that, and then it's called sleeping swan. So coming up into tabletop position here. Take the right knee behind the right wrist, let the left foot come over to the left, and then walk that right leg back. Now some people can get a right angle here with their leg, I certainly can't, so it depends on the hip, shape of your hip, flexibility of the hip as well, but normally by the shape of the hip. Walk that left leg all the way back, just check that it's nice and straight, and then having those hips square, then you can fold down. Now there should be no pain in the knee here. If there is, just back out, but allow the head to come all the way down. If you feel like you're going over to the right slightly, place a block underneath that hip for support. So choose if that feels something that you need. Otherwise we'll come all the way down, and again just sink in. This is really good for the outside of the right hip. Hip being the biggest joint in the body needs lots of care. And just sink in. And just be. Again. Sometimes in yin yoga we find it a bit more difficult than a power yoga. Power yoga, you feel like you're moving, you're doing everything that you feel that you should be, but yin yoga, when you slow things down, it feels difficult. We become fidgety, the mind feels like it wants to race off. And just becoming still becomes a bit of a challenge, so it can be just a bit more trickier than a typical power yoga class. But it's slowing things down is where the healing happens. You might notice as you sink in that you slowly release a bit more, remembering that 40% stretch, so don't push your body too far. So healthy for the hip, the biggest joint in the body. Needs lots of love and care. Building support for that connective tissue on the outer right hip. We'll take about 5 more breaths in. And on your next inhale, start unraveling yourself, so coming up. You can make your way back into a tabletop position here. Open that right knee out to the right and draw big circles with that knee one way and the other. Just turning that fluid round that we just built in that hip joint that we just made. And coming back to tabletop position, taking that to the other side now. We take the left knee behind that left wrist, let the foot go over to the right side. Walk the right foot back, untuck the toe. Make sure your hips are square here. And then allow yourself to fold all the way back down. And if you need a block underneath your head, feel free to do so. If you feel that you just want to stay slightly higher, you can use blocks or a book or a cushion to place arms over on top of your blocks or cushion, just to give you support there. And then when you feel ready to come down further. And again, we just breathe here, no hurries. And again, if there's pain in the knee, back out. If you feel like the If you're dropping to the left, place a block underneath your hip for support. And I'm going to move my blocks now because I feel that I can come down that bit further. Allow the body just to sink down. May feel so different than the other side as we're not symmetrical in our bodies, so it may feel different on this side. Certainly for me, the left is always a little bit stiffer. And with yin yoga, it's finding that pose, knowing that you're in the right position. Finding stillness within that pose, and then you just yield to time. Allow the body to do the work as you just breathe in and out. Taking about 5 more breaths here. Keeping those breaths steady, easy breath in and easy breath out. And on your next inhale, slowly start coming out of the pose. Start coming all the way back up. Make your way back into a tabletop position here. Lift that right knee out to the right side and then draw big circles. Getting deep into that hip joint there, one way and in the other direction. And then from here, crossing those legs behind you, coming all the way down onto your back. So slowly release yourself down, bring the knees into the chest. And then from here, just rocking side to side on that sacrum, giving it a little massage here. And then coming into our final pose now, Shavasana. So just take a last inhale, curl yourself up towards your knees. Thank you, body. And then exhale, send those legs out straight. Make some room, so arms out to the side. Palms face the sky for that sweet, sweet surrender. Final pose now, Shavasana. If you have time, stay here longer. If you're with me, take a deep breath in. And a long sigh out, let it go. Wiggle those fingers and toes, getting some movement back in the body. We'll take the arms over the head for a big stretch out. And then either roll onto one side or rock and roll your way up to seated. Making our way back into seated at the tops of our mat. Bring the hands to the heart space, bowing down to your own self. In gratitude for this practice today and carving out this small amount of time just to get deep into that connective tissue. If you've done this at night, I hope you have a lovely sleep. If you've done it throughout the day, enjoy the rest of your day. Namaste.